guys. I'm out here in the heartland all across the country here for a little bit, just doing my work. And the thing about it was I love to do my work, love to, go on the road, but I miss my tribe, my family here with all of us together every day. So anyway, I know the times have changed a little bit, but I'm going to try to pretty much find an hour every day while I'm out here. And I'm glad that you joined us. So one of the reasons that you've joined us is some of you, we get to join you because you call in. Let me give the number out real quick here at the top of the hour. If you want to be on the program and give us great things to talk about and share with you, that's 844-940-2774, 844-940-2774, 844-940-2774, in case you're running for your pencil, write that down, where you can call in. And for those of you who are not listening to the live hour, it means you're listening to some other hour, which is a great way to hear the program. If you can't join us live, it sits there 24/7, and we keep the old ones up there as well. So you can join in on those, and you can also share them with a friend as we're building the tribe here to do all of this, overcoming dysfunction together. And that's the only way to do it that I know of. So speaking of together, let's hop into your questions that we have Boundaries.me subscribers that email the questions for the beginning of the program. At least we've been doing that lately. And we have a really good one today that I think at some level, all of us can probably relate to some part of this. It says this, hi, Henry, how do we overcome the fear of other people not liking us? For me, it's become major codependency and fear of doing anything wrong that will make someone leave/reject me as a person /friends/romance. So basically all of the kinds of relationships that we can have, right? Even affects the words I use to express myself, how I dress, and getting in relationships I don't even want to be in. How about that? Really worried about people that you don't even care about to begin with. Now there's a cycle of doom. Okay, need to break the fear, exclamation point. What specific exercises or challenges can I give myself to help speed up the process of beating this? Thanks very much. Well, it is a great question. Now, what's interesting about this question is it taps into so many things about the zeitgeist, the Weltanschauung, the way that all of the belief systems and the worldviews that are out there, even in the field of what I call popular psychology, because what you're kind of talking about here is, you've heard the phrase, give people too much power, right? Of how you feel about yourself and think about yourself. And then you'll hear in the popular psychology, you shouldn't do this. You've got to love yourself first, right? It's got to start from within here and come from you first. And, you're going to get strong on your own. And that way the people want to have power and this, that, and the other. Well, let's talk about that, because the problem here is that the problem kind of comes from the answer, because you probably missed the answer to begin with that caused the problem to turn into another problem. Is that clear? You got that? See, we try to simplify things on this program. Now, here's what I mean by this. The concept of what you're basically talking about here is how you feel about yourself, right? And how you feel about yourself vis-a-vis other people, like how you feel about you in relation to how the connection is and how stable it is and what the feelings are of the other person when they're in relationship with you. All right. So there is a withness to this. And the reason there's a withness to this is because life is designed to be that way. See, this isn't a problem in one sense, but it is a problem past a certain, I'm going to call it age or formative period in life, because in that age or formative period, the power of the other, I wrote a book called The Power of the Other. The power of the other should have that kind of power, meaning this: you are wired when you are, from the time you come into the world. If you are a little baby, what you're going to do is you're going to look out. And what are you looking for? You're looking for freaking everything. We don't have a lot inside, right? We don't have a lot of validation. We don't know what we think. We don't have a lot of love inside. We're basically looking out there, and you see little babies, and then, the first eyes they look into, and, mom gives them birth, brings him up, and holds him, and you're looking, and you're looking, and you're looking back, and then it becomes maybe dad, and then it's, the rest of the family, and then it's kind of this circle. But in those early formative relationships, we're actually designed to get feedback from the outside world of how lovable we are, how desired we are, how stable the connection itself is. Is the connection at risk because I'm upset? Is the connection at risk because I fail? Is the connection at risk because I don't look as good one day as I should? Or is the connection at risk because I'm hurting? And see, what happens is you have mirror neurons, and you have feedback systems, and you have all of this stuff. Kids, even when they fall down, you've seen them, you've seen a little tired, they fall down, and they hit their knees, and what do? They look up, and you can see it on their face. They're asking, am I hurt? Am I okay? And then mommy or daddy or somebody says, oh, you're fine, hop up. And then they hop up. Or another parent might say, oh my gosh, and panic. And then they start to cry because they're getting the feedback. See, relationships are designed to validate us, encourage us, make us feel secure. All of that. Kind of up until, right? So look at it this way. In a child, what you're doing is you're pouring wet concrete, right? And it's getting formed, and it's getting shaped, and you're internalizing things into the concrete. You're putting a slab here and a frame here, and this, that, and the other. And then slowly over time, that begins to form. And then somebody has a personality structure, or as I like to talk about, you've got, the computer has its operating system kind of wired in. And so what you've learned is, at that point, because you've been validated, because you've been liked, because you've have a secure attachment that mom or dad or love is not going to go away just because you have a need or cry or fail or, assert yourself or say no or, whatever it is, that you're secure in that relationship. And what happens is you can start to be yourself in the security of a connection. And so then we have connections, right? And in the connection, we're kind of ourselves. And we learn to also differentiate between people, because there are significant others, right, that form that. And then you go into the world, and there are people you have relationships with and connections with. And what they think and feel and respond and all that kind of matters more than strangers or people we don't like or idiots, right? There's some people, the last thing you want to do is please a control freak. But that's what I meant by, see, that's the answer when you're little, is we need to be formed and constructed. And then we have security inside, and then we go live that security outside. All right. So that's the answer. Now it's become a problem. Why has it become a problem? Because it didn't get answered to begin with most of the time. That early on in our formative relationships, we learn all the things I said. The connection is insecure. When I do this, it goes away. When I do this, they get mad at me. When I do this, if I do everything they want, and then they're, smile at me, they don't erupt in rage. Or if you gotta, you're walking on eggshells. And if I don't do that, then, so what you learn to do is you learn to be other-oriented and hyper-vigilant, is the way psychologists talk about it. I'm always scanning to look out there to know, how am I doing? Because you're looking for that mirroring that tells you how safe you are, how secure you are. Did I do anything wrong? Are they displeased with me, etc.? But the problem is, now it's become non-specific. So everybody has that power, as you said, even a stranger. Even somebody standing in a line, you don't want to upset them or this, that, and the other. Well, how do you undo it? Well, what a lot of popular psychology is going to tell you is, well, you need to take that power and you got to love yourself first. Okay, well, that's great. But are you the problem or the answer? Right. And I don't mean that there aren't things that we can do with, by, and through, and for ourselves, right? We do need to learn to talk to ourselves differently. We do need to learn to think differently. We do need to challenge those disruptive critical voices that you might have internalized. And there's a bunch of stuff like that. If you go to boundaries.me, I've got a lot of courses on changing the wiring inside and the things that you can do. And it basically, overall, it involves, first of all, getting in touch with, bringing it back in, and not automatically reflexively getting in that dynamic, and then begin to ask yourself, and notice yourself and have some observation and mindfulness about this and all of that. But at the same time, this is not a solo event. It never was designed to be a solo event. So what you have to do is we've got to go back to the original design. It's not just a self-help cure. What we've got to do is we have got to pick and choose and place ourselves back in the wet cement factory of some healing relationships. A couple of healing one-on-one relationships. Oftentimes that's a therapist, or it could be a really good, wise, close best friend, or a mentor, or a coach, where you become vulnerable with them. You kind of reduce yourself to wet cement and you're in the journey with them. And when you fail, instead of reject you, they come alongside you and they say, it's okay, let's try again. Well, what happens when they do that 1,000 times? Then the voice inside your head gets internalized from their voice, and you go out in the world, trip and fall and fail, and you go, well, that's all right. I'll go, try it again. You want to see a good example of this? Yesterday's Masters, Tiger, who is beyond amazing, you guys know this. I mean, even people who don't play golf know this. Par 3 hole, number 12 at the Masters, he makes a 10. Okay? A 10. He hit in the water more than once, more than twice, actually 3 times. And hit it a bunker, hit it off, and he makes a 10. All right. What if he didn't have security inside of him? Like, and you go back and study his history, he had really an incredible supporting dad and that encouraging voice and that security that he has. Tiger makes a 10. You know what he does on the next 6 holes? He birdies 5 out of the next 6 holes after that big of a horrible, like, train wreck. He didn't crash and burn. See, if you weren't secure like that, you make a mistake and then I'm a loser. I can't do, and it all goes down. And that's what people are doing all the time. They're looking at every event, every failure, every screw up, and the negative messages start to cue in, and they just, fall through the bottom. Well, look at Tiger. He's got some really good stuff in his head, right? And great performers know that their value is not from the next one little event, failure, mishap, whatever. So I want you to have all the tricks that we talk about, questioning, disputing, listen to those critical voices, getting some positive voices, knowing that God loves you, and have some good verses handy that tell you that, getting secure and all of that. But also, this is fundamentally also a wiring problem. And I want you in a healing setting with one-on-one, two-on-one, but also in a small group, in a community that supports you. And what you're going to do is you're going to go through a life, some experiences here, right? And they're going to walk through that with you. And slowly you're going to internalize that secure attachment. Then when you go out there and fail, it's like, oh, well, my friends love me. It's all right. I might have failed, but my group loves me. It's okay. My community. And you have a home. You have a tribe to come home to, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally. And that gets internalized. And then from there, you're not looking to every new relationship to tell you if you're worthy or not. You already know you're worthy. God loves you and other people do too. And you already know that if you fail, it's going to be okay because God loves you and other people too. And you already know that if you screw it up, that's okay because God loves you and other people too. And not only that, they're going to coach you and you're going to learn from it and get better. So you're not looking to every little relationship to tell you that. And instead, something really powerful happens. Now you're back living in your own skin and you're not looking to be evaluated by them. You are evaluating them. There you go. And I'm not talking about evaluating them to criticize them or be mean. I'm talking about evaluating them to choose who is worthy for me to invest my heart with. And you're not going to give random people the power to reject you. Now you're going to ask, is this person loving enough, kind enough, honest enough, faithful enough for me to allow them in to giving them the power to hurt me? I want to give people the power to hurt me, but I want to give the right people the power to hurt me. You know who those people are? The ones that probably aren't going to hurt me. Because giving power to people who hurt you is a good thing, because what that means is you are making yourself vulnerable. I talked, recently, this about me. I just got a knee replacement and went through surgery, right? Why? To get better, to get healed. Well, guess what I had to do? I had to give somebody the power to hurt me. And boy, did they. But it was wounding, as the Bible says. One of my favorite verses is that God wounds us to heal us. That's what a surgeon does. That's different than a mugger. So, a lot of things in there. Some are in your head, reworking the voices, rejecting them, changing the way that you talk to yourself, your belief systems, your attitudes. But a lot of it is relational as well. That's very, very important. Okay, here's a number to call us. We have, I think, one line open, 844-940-2774, 844-940-2774. And let's go to our callers, and we're going to talk to Jerry, who's calling us from Philadelphia. And Jerry, welcome to the Dr. Cloud Show.
Thank you so much. Glad to be with you.
Likewise. How can I help you?
I asked Alvy the question. I was listening to you talk about Thanksgiving. I love that you pronounce it that way.
How does the rest of the peoples all around pronounce it? It's Thanksgiving, right?
It's Thanksgiving, right? That's right. And
if it rains, you better take your umbrella.
That's right. You were talking about how you can have great boundaries when you don't need anything from anybody.
Well,
but I have two sisters that I love dearly,
you can have great boundaries when you don't need anything from the person that you're not wanting to need anything from.
Yes. Okay.
So I needed my knee surgeon, so I opened up my boundaries. So yeah, you got to be careful right. who you need something from.
So I've been in a process where I have two sisters, and our mother died 7 years ago of alcoholism and was summarily cremated, and we lost contact with her for years before she died.
Oh, wow.
She was just really it was just too difficult to be around her. So it was all we could do to cremate her 7 years ago. And now I've been spearheading getting her interred in the cemetery, doing a lot of patient work. And I'm a Boundaries.me subscriber, and I've been sober 32 years. So I have a strong support group around me, and I understand the disease that I'm dealing with. Yeah.
I couldn't hear the last sentence. What was that?
I understand the disease I'm dealing with.
Oh, yeah, obviously you do. Yeah, if you've been sober that long, you know some things.
But I have two sisters who are wounded, and I find as we walk through just like simple logistics, like what name do we inscribe, and let's set the date, and even the burial service, they get real reactive, and it's just very difficult. because I want to be heard. I want to be seen by them. I want to be appreciated for doing this work. I would like to lay our mother to rest. And I'm kind of losing hope that it's going to be possible that we can come together without reactivity or finger pointing or blaming.
Okay,
no.
you may not be able to come back together without a lot of dysfunction in a circle that's got a lot of dysfunction in it. That is possible. You may not be able to. So you might have some what I call incompatible wishes. I want to come together with them, and I want to be with the group of siblings that doesn't have any dysfunction. Well, that's probably not going to happen. So what? so what? I mean, it's sort of like, I've got a new Doberman, and what if I wanted a pet that meows? Well, I shouldn't have gotten a Doberman, right? Now,
right.
So since those outcomes are incompatible, those two wishes come together, what are the options? You can come together. If the biggest thing here is you want to get your mother, buried in a place and all of that, that's probably an available option. You want to get her buried and all that and have your siblings involved, that's probably available. But you want to add the thing where you're understood, heard, and validated in the process. You probably got to get rid of that one, right?
Yeah.
So what's the question?
So I think we're close to we've set a date, and the contract's paid for. And I guess I feel like, what is it, Lucy with the football? I'm the middle child, and I'm going to serve it up, and they're not going to show up, or it's going to be delayed, or I'll be accused of doing something wrong.
That's possible. And finally, you'll have your mother's attention all to yourself. What every kid wants, right?
Right.
So that may happen.
Yeah.
So what are you ready for that? What's the question?
So I guess the question is, how do we approach this thing knowing, I guess just day by day, right? Like, we'll set a date, we'll buy a plane ticket.
Wait a minute, knowing what? Knowing what?
Knowing that the football could be snatched away at any second, right?
Oh, meaning that they might not show up?
Yes.
Well, then, how do you do that? How about
or
if you
cancel or?
Well, the way I would do it is I would right size my expectations. So what if you've been sober that long, what does the Serenity Prayer tell you about this situation?
I didn't get which prayer again?
The Serenity
Prayer. Right. So, what all I can do, right?
Here's what you can do. Yeah, what you can control is you got the plot of ground, you got the ashes, you got the date set, you sent out the invitations, you're going, you got your attitude, you can be in control of that. What you can't control is what they're going to do, but you could have some fun with it. I mean, I'd start a pool and set the odds and have people bet on who's going to show and who isn't, and you could turn it into a lottery.
Oh, that's a lovely idea.
But that's the way I would approach it. I'd say, I really want you guys there. My hope would be we could all be there and maybe, talk about our experiences with Mom, or celebrate that we're alive, and, we had her and the good things we did have and the pain that all of that. That's just what I would like. But, guys, it's up to you, and let me know and I'll see you there.
Thank you, Dr. Cloud. Just think about my expectations.
Think about your expectations.
And stay in my hula hoop. Stay
in your hula hoop, and also, you can wish for a unicorn flying that hula hoop with you, but probably going to not happen. That's got to be okay. All right. Thank you for your call. There's so much in there about adult adult sibling relationships, when there has been cataclysmic things happen in the family system, um, sometimes you see people get out of this system. They grow up, right? And they grow up and they get in their own path and they do their own work, and then they start to reestablish, relationships as adult siblings and kind of do okay. That's great. I love it when that happens. It's it's great. I mean, it's really cool to have. I've got two sisters, and I love talking to them, right? And all of that. But there are sometimes in some situations where maybe one or two of the adult siblings kind of get with reality, and maybe one or two don't. And sometimes to expect the whole tribe, the whole clan to kind of become what you never had without some process or intervening variable to create that is just something that's unrealistic. And so I think it is very, very important to realize, got to set my expectations correctly. And a lot of times people stay stuck in adult sibling sort of things really because they haven't gone through the grief cycle. The grief cycle is when you want something or have something. And grief can happen on both sides. We have to grieve sometimes something we never had and wanted. But you want a family that's cohesive and wonderful and together and everybody's for each other. But you didn't really have that, right? And so now you got to grieve it. And what happens in grief? Well, for a while we deny it, and then we bargain, right? Well, only if I did this, or what if I were like this? Then we would all, what if? And you do all this stuff to kind of make, and then you protest, and there's anger, and this shouldn't be this way, and they should. But then finally, you get to a place where it's kind of like, well, that's the way it is. And then you go into a loss, and you go into a depression, you go into a sadness. We didn't have the family I wish we'd had. And then you get to acceptance. And from acceptance, then you can actually have a lot of different options. Because once we accept reality, then we can look at the menu of reality and see what's available to me. It's what I talked about, with Jerry earlier. What are the available options? Well, there's a lot of available options here. It's just that one of them isn't on the menu. But see, after you've accepted reality, then you can say, gosh, I wish they had, this on the menu, loving family where everybody loved each other and was supported. It's not on the menu. It's not one of my menu items. But you can't get to selecting the menu items until you see reality. And so that's a big part of many times making adult sibling relationships work. All righty, let's go back to the phones, and let me give you the phone number again. We still have a line. It looks like is that possible? We have a line open. Maybe try it. 844-940-2774, 844-940-2774 is the number. We probably have a line open because we changed the time so much that people think they're listening to a pre-recorded broadcast. 844-940-2774. Call me. All right, let's go back to the phones and talk to Lynn, who's got a dating question. I love dating questions. They're the most fun. Lynn, thank you for the call. How can I help you?
Hi, Dr. Cloud. My question is, as a Christian, how am I led, by God, and to that right person for me, but not being practical, yes, but not like putting my hand and ruining God's plan for my life, because I've heard both sides,
what are the two sides that you've heard?
I've heard.
I've been around the block in this thing so many times that it looks more like a Rubik's Cube to me. It's more than two sides. There's so many opinions about this one.
For me, it's been like, wait, and it gives me fear, like, to step out and be practical, because I'm like, okay, how about if I do something that's not God's will and end up with someone that's totally not God's will for me? But at the same
Well, wait a
time,
minute. Hold on a second. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
that's okay. And at the same time, I've heard, teachings and regarding like, you have to step out in faith as well. And for me, honestly, I've been praying and believing, but I feel like, okay, I've been doing that for a long time and I know God answers prayer, but what am I, how do I have that balance that I'm not like tampering, with God's plan for my life?
Let me ask you a question. How would you
Like putting my hand in it.
Well, how would you do that and have it end up in a bad way? Would be an example of that. Tell me what that looks like.
For me, intentionally would be like an unbeliever, but that's not what I want to do, and that's not what I've been doing. To me, it's like maybe choosing the wrong person.
Stop.
Okay.
I want you to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're a person of faith.
Yeah.
You want to be with somebody that's headed in the same direction as you, shares your faith. You share this intimate part of life together, just like other things. And that's what you want. That's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody shows up and that part's not there, then you're not going to do that. Right?
And I have, and then I haven't. Right.
So wait a minute, but hang on.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that in terms of getting to what you want, right? And we know what God wants for you because he wants the best for you, and that would be the best to be aligned here. That you're not going to do that. So how does that turn into some theological quandary? It's sort of like, how do I know if I cross the street? How do I know how I mess up God's will by, I don't want to mess up God's will. What does that look like? Well, I'm going to walk out in the street when the light's green instead of red. Well, that's not a theological question at all, right? So people turn this into some kind of, like they've got you worried that said another way. Let's say we're going to go all the way to the side of, well, God's going to lead me. All right. So I'm going about life and I'm going out there and I'm dating, and all of a sudden this person shows up and they're a perfect match. Well, if I'm from the God's going to lead me side, I go, oh, there's the one God leading to me. And I make the decision and I get married and live happily ever after. If I'm on the other side, well, I got to go work at this. Well, what do? I go out in life and I date people and this, that, and the other. And I meet the person. And if they're right and wonderful and everything lines up, then I make this decision. How does this turn into a theological debate?
That's what that's what I've learned,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And I believe, I'm like, okay, I just don't want to choose against your will,
Well,
even though God has.
Of course, you don't want to walk out in traffic if you don't want to cross the street if the light's red, or unless it's red, whichever corner you're on. So how
is that practical for me? Because for me, it's always.
What?
To me, it's like it's always red. Like I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna step out, So I feel like I'm.
Whoa!
Me.
Whoa! Stop!
Sorry.
Where in the Bible does it tell you to not step out and be responsible and a steward over every part of your life, and to work hard at something and be diligent and apply yourself and become the best you can be? Where does it ever say that anywhere?
It doesn't, but to me, it's like I'm not trusting God. Like I'm leaning on my own.
Stop. It doesn't. There is no but. It doesn't say that. Now, when you say, but I'm not trusting God, I can understand that if you were going to choose to make a destructive and a self-destructive and a not God honoring decision,
Mhm.
then of course that's not trusting him.
Mhm.
But to take responsibility for your life and be active, how did you get a job? Did you lock yourself up in a closet and trust God to have some boss come dig you out of a hole and find you and say, "Oh, I found you. God led me to you. Here's your job." How'd
Nope.
you find your church? How'd you find your friends? How do you find your food?
Prayer was a component, but not only prayer. I had to step out and visit and apply and interview.
Exactly. So why in the world do people teach this spiritual thing that in this one area of life that the whole created order is going to be different? And it's certainly not what you see in the Bible. In the Bible, they had spouse seeking agents that they sent out. They were hired hands to go over to cry and find the wife and find and then in others they'd go to war and they would and then in other times they would. God specifically says, and if one of them is attractive to you and you choose to marry that one, then he tells them kind of what to do. We got to stop living in people's la-la land of these hyper spiritual sounding messages that the Bible never says. I want you to be a healthy person living according to God's ways and living your life and going and finding your dreams, but doing them within the boundaries that he says will keep you safe. How about that?
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like more fun anyway?
It does. And definitely. And then I guess my next question is where is a good place to find? Because I grew up in church, and I always think I'm going to meet him in church. So I have that mentality.
Stop.
Okay.
I researched this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, in my research, that rarely happens, and it is what people are taught.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not where they find significant dating, and it's not where they normally find spouses. And it's funny that that's what they get told, but
yeah,
it's just usually not where it happens. So good luck.
When I was younger,
I hope it works for you,
would happen like that. But I think, as you get older, that circle can get smaller and smaller. So it's like.
Well, not only that, it didn't work for you when you were younger either. Is my point.
No.
I mean,
and I've met not so good guys in the church. So,
Well, the church is a population of idiots and wonderful people, in the Bible. Again, let's go back to the Bible. Let's always go back to the Bible if you're going to talk about spiritual questions. Jesus was asked one day, why do you have all of these idiots still around with all the good people? Why don't you just pluck them up and throw them into the ocean and get rid of them and save us from all these bad people? And he said, basically, it was a love answer. He said, because basically he's still looking for everybody to come. And in the meantime, the good ones are going to be all mixed up with the bad ones. And you're just going to have to be wise in figuring that out. So that's what the book says. So you're going to find people that disappoint you in church. You're going to find people that may be abusive in church. You're going to find out, and you're going to find some really, 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 really good people there too. But in my experience, if you want to have a vibrant, active dating life and maybe even find a spouse, you're probably it's not going to happen if you limit yourself to church. Would you want to limit how you find a job, what college you want to go to, how you're going to do your investments, how you're going to find a house? Are you going to limit that to your church? It's a big world out there. I know. So There you go. I wrote a whole book on this.
I have your book, and I started reading it. And
Well,
I have the Audible book, too.
Well, starting it is not finishing it. So
Mm-hmm.
I want you to finish it, and then you'll know what I think, and you can try it and see if it applies to you. But I want you to have a full life, Lynn. And one of my favorite verses, what does it say? Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who is at work within you to will and to do of your good pleasure, of his good pleasure. It's in Philippians. So what did that say? You work it out. You go out there and start dating and start looking and start posting and all this, for it is God who is at work within you. He's guiding us, leading us. He's empowering us. He's opening doors. He's closing doors. He's training us. He's coaching us. He's altering our vision he's growing us. He's our constant companion while we're out there doing it and living life, because he's working it out for us while we do it. It is a both and. It is not an either or. Okay? I got it right. I hope that's helpful to you. And I think that your question is one that a lot of people have been, in my opinion, and that's a opinion with a capital O. I cared about this question so much because I actually wrote a book on it, because I saw so many people just stuck. And I've seen so many people get unstuck. So anyway, by the way, the book is How to Get a Date Worth Keeping. You can only have two problems in dating, right? You're not getting dates. So how to get a date worth keeping, or you're getting dates and they're horrible. So you want to find dates that are worth going out with. And that's what the book's about. And also, basically, if you go to boundaries.me, become a subscriber, I lengthened it into, or shortened it, I should say, anyway, it's longer than a lot of the courses in there, but I've got a whole course on there on this. Go to boundaries.me, become a subscriber, and you can see it. Okay, let's go to Brittany. Before I go to Brittany, let me get the phone number, 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774. I got to say one quick thing about the dating thing. There's a lot of people that don't just sit back passive in misery, just wondering when life is going to knock on their door. They get active about solving their problems. And so I ran into one group of single women one time who decided they were sick of this problem. And so they formed an organization called SWARM, SWARM. Here's what it stood for: Single Women Actively Recruiting Men. So what they did was they literally formed a social organization that had monthly singles events where they would get everybody to what? Spread the word in your concentric circles of life and hand out invitations and invite guys to invite their friends and this, that, and the other. And they created, and it lasted for a while, they created this really cool network that all sorts of cool things happened from. But they got active. They took responsibility. So there you go. Okay, Brittany, who's calling us from Colorado. Brittany, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so my question is, I was in a toxic relationship for about 10 years. We were on and off, and last year, last year I finally broke it off, and we still talked a little bit after, but we didn't actually get back together. And then earlier this year, we kind of started talking again and talking about maybe getting back together.
Just stop. Okay. You broke it off. You finally broke it off. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there were enough reasons for that you could spend a while explaining them. But you finally broke it off. And then somehow the magnetic waves came through the air and you started talking to him again. Why was that?
I think it's just
is the comfort and the idea of like still wanting it to see if it was gonna work. Like maybe if we try this different way or this different way, or I don't know, maybe
Wait,
that'll be different this time.
wait. In 10 years, what was the different way that you
Mhm.
hadn't tried?
Yeah, I have no idea. But
Okay, you opened the door. You did not let go,
yes.
and you did not grieve, and you did not deal with the reasons why you are attracted to this problem,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so you
Right.
find, wait a minute. I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you the
Mhm.
laws of physics here.
Yes.
When we are ever in a relational dynamic, okay, that is problematic, okay?
Mhm.
One of my favorite verses in the Bible says this. It says, our battle is never with flesh and blood. The battle's not with Joey.
Mhm.
The battle is with the dynamics and the spiritual forces and all that. And if we don't resolve it with that dynamic, while that dynamic lives in a body named Joey, we can leave Joey and we don't resolve the problem, we're going to repeat the course.
Right.
Joey's going to show up again, or Joey with another name is going to show up again. But
Mhm.
if we go in the second grade and we haven't learned our math tables, we can pretend we're going to third grade, but we haven't learned math yet. So that's why
Okay.
when you have a problematic relationship, this is what one of the things I talked about in the divorce recovery workshop, which is still available if you go to boundaries.me/divorce, or I'm sorry,
Mhm.
/recover. I would suggest that course to you, because because you've gone
Okay.
through what can almost be called a divorce, relationally. If you don't figure
Right.
out the dynamics, then that person's going to still be there in some form or fashion. All right, now
Yeah.
I've just said my piece. So now get to your question. You started talking about it again this year, and now what?
Okay. And then was able to get to a point where I was like, okay, we shouldn't talk anymore. I want to move on. I want to be done. So completely like cut off contact, everything. And then I found out that he's gonna have a baby with somebody, and she got pregnant like while we were still talking in the beginning of the year. I imagine it was not planned, but it
Oh,
just
you
feels
think?
like nice because it's like
Brittany,
that's what I
wait,
had
wait, wait, wait,
wanted
wait,
for
wait,
so
wait, wait,
long.
wait, 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 wait. I'm going to interrupt you until you start to hear
Okay.
yourself talk. Okay, so here's what you said. I'm still talking to him, which means he's still talking to you, and he's kind of playing with your head and all this while he's making babies with her. And then you said,
Mhm.
I imagine it wasn't planned. All right. I would imagine it wasn't planned also, but if I imagine it wasn't planned, and I'm saying it, but it might have been planned, then what kind of guy plans that to have you in the picture and have a baby and with somebody he's not married to? That ought to be a
Right.
further big explosive red light in your head of, why am I talking to this guy?
Yeah. So
Okay, so you found out
that's
he's
my
having the
thing
baby.
is, yeah, I can logically tell myself a million times like it wasn't meant to be and it wasn't right and I shouldn't be with him. And obviously not. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids, all that, and he didn't want that. And then we stopped talking and he goes and gets someone pregnant. So why is it so devastating? Like why does it feel so awful that I think it's a lot of jealousy is like I wanted that family with him and I didn't get that and she does now. And so, but I also understand, like, it sounds dumb to me even. It's like, well, that was a really bad relationship. Why are you upset about not having that with him?
Great question. And it is the right question. And I want to point out again, one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to begin to start listening to yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Here's what you just told me. You just said, I wanted that relationship with him. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to listen to yourself. What is that relationship that you're talking about? I'm going to translate it for you. I want a relationship with a guy who gets me pregnant and doesn't marry me and is talking to other women and probably trying to seduce them as well. I long for that relationship. That's not true. That's not the
Right.
relationship but that's the one that you're not seeing. There is no, whatever his name is, that is a good relationship. What you're missing out on and devastated by is you don't have your heart's deepest desire, which is to have a good relationship with a good guy who loves you and values you, right?
Right.
That's what you're longing for.
Yeah.
And I want you to come to grips with it's not him, so you can grieve him and start to really, really objectively look at what disappointing person in my life taught me to long for them so much that I don't recognize how disappointing they are, to the point where I can't grieve them and let go and go find something good.
Mhm.
So in your past developmental wiring, have you ever looked at these unmet longings? Who's on the other end of these unmet longings that you haven't grieved and worked through?
Are you asking me who it is?
Yeah. Where did this start in your life? This
Uh,
is a life story.
my dad from when I was little. Yeah.
Your dad? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, oftentimes that is the case. What I would want you to do is to make resolving your relationship inside with your dad a priority. Let this guy
Okay.
who symbolizes that relationship, let him go.
Okay.
Get with somebody or a good recovery group or something and begin to process and grieve what I didn't get from my dad and how you feel about that, and learn the patterns of the triggers that would push the button to get you to recognize and want to start to, be attracted to somebody like that. And then also get in a good healing community with some men that can heal you, that you do not become romantically involved with. See,
Okay.
that's a big part of this. Whenever we're going to heal the longing for parental love, or the hurt from parental love, or criticism, or whatever it is, if we're going to heal that, and I want everybody single out there to listen to me on this, you will never heal that longing in a romantic relationship, because you're not looking for romantic love. You're looking for parental love to fill an empty hole that either mom or dad or both didn't fill. And that can be healed. That can be healed. But it's got to be done in a healing community, not a romantic relationship. You follow me?
Yes.
Brittany, I want you around some men and women that love you, where this hunger can get filled up, and they can coach you to not give yourself to men that don't deserve you.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this making sense to you?
Yes, it definitely does.
Okay. And you know what? I want to, so are you in counseling? Do you have a good counselor? Do you have a good group? Do you have a good support system?
I'm not in counseling right now. I've been thinking about it, but I don't even know where to start, I guess.
Well, where do you live?
Where do I live?
Yeah, if you don't mind saying, if you do mind saying, you don't have to. But if you live,
Oh, no, it's fine. In Greeley, Colorado.
is that a big town? Greeley? Is that a big town? I've never been
Greeley. It's about 150,000.
there. Okay, my hunch is there's probably some good therapists in a town that big. If there's not, somewhere near, there's probably some good churches that maybe have some good support groups. I want you in a healing environment where you can learn to be validated and connected with and all those things you didn't get, and
Okay.
not stay hung up for 10 years with a guy that doesn't deserve you.
Okay.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
We repeat the class until we learn the lesson that the class is trying to teach us. And the class shows up in human skin. If the course we need to learn is how do I stop thinking critical people are finally going to approve of me if I'm something enough. If we learn that course, if we pass that course, what the final exam looks like is you let go of them and decide there's nothing there for me. Why would I want to be close to them? They're not very loving. Why would I want to hang out with them? Why would I? And you pass the final, then you graduate and you get to go to a better course. Life is a learning, maturing process. And, you know, most of the time we're sort of floating around on the planet by ourselves, trying to be principal of the school and dean of the department and faculty and teacher while we're being the student. You can't do all those things. You can't do all those things. And then the best path in life is when we realize I don't have the answers. I can't fix myself. What am I going to do? Recovery circles, they call that hitting bottom. One of my favorite verses is in the Beatitudes. It says, you know, blessed are the poor in spirit. When we finally realize I don't really have the answers. I don't have what I need here. I don't have the love that I need. Because when we literally, the word there for poor in that verse, it means beggar. And when we realize I'm not the solution to my problems, then we reach outside of ourselves. As I did one day a long time ago, when I hit bottom, I reached up and I said, God, help me, help me, help me. And he showed up and he helped me. And I think that's what he invites us all to do. And then from there, we're in school, baby. We are in school. And we're all taking a different course all the time, different curriculum. And when we pass that course, then we can take the next one. And you know what? When you start to pass the courses and you get over critical people and you get over people pleasing or codependency or whatever it is, then you start to get to go to more fun courses. And I'll close with this little story. You guys know you're on this journey with me about Finley, our Doberman, and she's 7 months old now. And Finley, you know, she's a crazy puppy, like all puppies, you know. We couldn't take Finley anywhere. She'd have crapped all over everybody at the restaurant. She would have jumped up on their tables, this, that, and the other. But she's been in training and she's learning to sit and stay and heel and be quiet and stop barking when I tell you to and come over here and, you know, lie there. And if I'm gonna give you some food, I'm gonna give you something, but you're not gonna beg for it. Guess what? Finley's going everywhere with us now because she's learned her lesson and she's graduating to where she's got a much bigger life. And that's what we can do if we grow. And we grow past the dysfunctional dynamics, and then we get to go play much more fun games in life, because life and God can give us more when we're able to handle more. But that takes the maturity process in order for that to happen. And that is why I'm so grateful for you in this format where we're coming together. I see you on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook talking to each other and growing. We're building a community together, and I want you to just continue to hang out with us, because I love what you got going there on the other side of this little microphone. And you guys are supporting each other and all that. Boundaries.me, the Boundaries.me community is just fantastic. If you're not a subscriber, go join it, Boundaries.me. Go to that website. And speaking of which, also, and then I got to shut up because we are out of time, they're telling me. We have an event coming up for those of you who struggle with anxiety, which means a large number in today's world. I'm going to have a 2-hour event on overcoming anxiety on December 9th, live right here. Well, I won't be in this hotel room, but right here on the worldwide internet with you and me in an event just like this for 2 hours on December 9th. Sign up for it by going to boundaries.me/anxiety. It's a 2-hour event. And if you can't be there live, you'll be able to stream it afterwards, but you sign up for the live event and then you can stream it afterwards. And we're going to talk about where anxiety comes from, what the different types are, and what can be done about it. And it's going to be really fun. So go sign up for that and also become a boundaries.me subscriber. Okay. All righty, guys. We are on the road this way, on the road again. I wish I could sing, but I can't. So I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. And until then, God bless you guys and have a good evening. Bye.